Welcome, everybody. My name is Major Guiles. I am a research scientist at the University of Hawaii working on fluid dynamics, but I love space and aeronautics and anything like that. If you've been in any one of my classes, you probably already know. Today, I'd like to present to you a little bit of a mini episode about some cool space stuff, and then an activity that hopefully you'll be able to accomplish in your own home with parts and stuff that you don't need to go to or germ-infested grocery stores to get. So what you're looking at here is a fantastic view from the former Shuttle with the Canadarm pointed out there, ready to lift some satellite or something into low Earth orbit. So in the midst of the Apollo program, NASA realized that launching these Apollo rockets and the whole Apollo program was actually a really expensive endeavor. And they started investigating, quote unquote, cheap ways to get to space. So they decided, let's build a space truck. We need a pickup truck that goes to space. Hence the shuttle. And in the middle of the Apollo program, NASA is looking around at different technologies. And in Canada, they had a contractor who built a robotic arm for loading and unloading fuel types into the CANDU nuclear reactor. This is a fairly interesting reactor if anyone wants to go look it up. It's quite interesting. It's also an export product of Canada, so this reactor runs in a lot of different countries. And as you'll see, it does a lot of different cycles. They can do a thorium cycle, plutonium recycling, recovered. So CANDU reactor is quite interesting. Anyhow, back to the shuttle. By 1975, NASA awarded the contract for the shuttle robotic arm to Canada as a national interest. The Canadarm was a complete success. This is video of the actual first flight of the Canadarm. Some of the things you might notice in here, because this is the early 80s, it wasn't high resolution TV images, and I noticed inside the shuttle that there's still like incandescent bulbs. It's kind of like a darker space than the International Space Station or anything that we put into orbit now. So one of the problems with having a robot arm in space is that if you go up and bump something, that object, once you bump it, now has achieved a velocity in exactly the opposite direction you want it to go. In fact, if you're in space and you're sitting next to each other or standing, floating next to your buddy, and you push on your buddy, you guys are going to be moving away from each other for a long time. And that's a problem because you need to expend energy to go track something down. And chasing something down means you're moving in your orbit trajectory. So we don't want to move in our orbits. We want things to be captured and collected with our robotic arm without disturbing the orbits. So that's when they came up with this really cool idea, the end effector. So let's take a look what the end effector does. You'll notice that it twists and those wires inside collapse together. And then these grasping arms come out the side. So it twists, pulls back, and then arms come out the side. So let's see that in operation on an actual capture. So SpaceX was awarded the cargo missions for the International Space Station. They were awarded 20 missions, and this is actually mission 19, but mission 20 just flew and landed only a little while ago. So that whole season of Dragon Cargo Dragon is over now. They're moving on to the crewed Dragon capsule, which is not going to be using the Canadarm. It has automated docking procedures. But so this is a time lapse. This procedure actually takes quite a long time. They're very, very careful about it. One, you don't want to accidentally bump anything. If you bump something, you not only will disturb the cargo Dragon capsule, but the space station itself will be disturbed. And you'll see that that's the prong that the end effector is going to grab onto, that little piece of metal right there. So now the end effector is right up onto it, and the end effector initiates. You see how it pulls it in close, and then those grasping hooks come around the side of that metal plate. And then the arm will take it and slowly move the capsule over. So like I said, this was from CRS-19. Shows you all 4 spacecraft that were docked at the International Space Station at that time. Now, let's make one. So you're going to need lesson 10 end effector from the Capt Robotics curriculum module, which is available on eServices website from your AEO or from an AEM, or I have cut and paste a PDF to go along with this if you're getting this off of our Hawaii Wing website. The lesson will be in PDF form. What you're going to want to do is construct the end effector and then come up with a good grapple device to attach to your spacecraft. So the only things you're going to need for this are 2 cups, 2 pieces of string, and 6 pieces of tape, a pair of scissors, and a pen. Let's watch as my youngest daughter constructs an end effector, and I'll describe the process as we go. First thing you want to do is take your pen and your cup, put your pen on top of something. Right here we're putting it on top of a dry erase marker, and you just spin the cup around and it draws a perfect line halfway between the cup. Nice. Now you're going to want to carefully cut into the bottom end of the cup. So whether you stab at it or get a careful knife or just start cutting, if you do it like this, you want to just cut around until the bottom falls off before you get to the line, and then that way you can just trim away towards the line and you'll end up with a very nice cut. Looks kind of finicky, but it's actually not that hard to do. Then once that bottom piece is cut off, you can just go around and trim it to the line. You don't have to use a plastic cup like this. You can use a styrofoam cup or a red cup. Next thing you want to do is put the one that you just cut over the top of the next cup, and you're going to trace along the cut edge. This provides the perfect offset for making your end effector. Just pull that one off and cut it. I'll forego having to watch cutting another cup. Now what you're going to want to do is take your 3 pieces of string, and you're going to want to attach a piece of tape onto one end, and you tape it to the outside cup, and then you put the piece of tape on the other end and tape it to the inside cup. The exact dimensions of these strings are given in the instructions for the end effector from lesson 10, but as you can see, what we've done here is basically had about 10 centimeter lengths of string. And you can work it with it and untape and retape, make new lengths of string if you want. Now once you have your end effector, what you're going to want to do is take your spacecraft or anything you want to pick up, and you're going to want to make a stig that goes into the end effector that then you can rotate capture, and lift. There you go. That's the end effector. We'd hope that you would be able to do this lesson, and if you have great success, please send a picture of you picking up your spaceship with your stig attached to it and your best stig design and how your end effector turned out. And I hope that you have much success in this activity and that you learned a lot. And for that, that's the end for me.